Hello, everybody, and welcome. High School Sports Unlimited. We are here. We are on the air. We are fresh and new. The kids love us. I don't know. You know any kids that watch us?
My daughter's not quite old enough to... The attention span's not there yet.
Very good. Speaking of attention span, we don't have much. But welcome to the show. We are here to talk all things high school sports all over North Georgia. My name is Judd Hickenbotham. That is Morgan Lee. We are smack dab in the middle of the football season. Week 5 is upon us. And so we're here to talk about the games coming up. For Friday for Week 5, or Week 4 for some other teams, and for a few teams, Week 6. And then also we'll be talking about the games from this past week. We'll have our Gainesville JC's Player of the Week as well, and we will have an interview here with a very happy head coach of Gainesville High School. So let's get started with last week's games. And we'll start with that big rivalry game. A blowout. Gainesville wins it 55-15. It was all about Deshaun Watson in this thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the kid, you talk about having a big night on a big occasion. I mean, you know, the governor's there to do the coin toss and all that sort of thing. And Deshaun Watson, all he does is come out and, you know, go for 440 total yards and 8 touchdowns. And just really led the way. And Gainesville, I mean... You know, it was actually a close game right before halftime. North Hall gets the ball, goes down and scores. It's 14-8 with about 4 minutes left for halftime. Gainesville gets a huge play. Keontre Harrison catches a short pass, reverses field, picks up about 3-4 blocks, goes 87 yards, doesn't score, which he caught a lot of grief for that, from what I understand. Watson scores the very next play, and from that point on, it was all Gainesville.
Good teams kind of do that, don't they? They for a while they might play with the team, but once they get it rolling, they just keep on rolling, like Gainesville's offense.
Yeah, definitely. They after that first game against Buford, where they were held out of the end zone and held scoreless, they needed to build some confidence, and they've started to do that with the White County win. They scored 40 points. Scored 55 against North Hall. They've really started to build some self-belief. Not that they lacked much, but it's always a little disheartening to get shut out. So. Now that they've started to kind of get on a roll, I really expect them to be a very dangerous offense again this year. And the way Deshaun Watson's playing, I think any defense is going to be hard-pressed to keep them out of the end zone.
Yeah, our cameras are rolling at this game, and so we got to see a lot of it. Saw Monty Cross take a direct snap. They're trying to do anything they can to get his hands on the ball. He has over 100 yards again, a couple of touchdowns. I still think North Hall can be a very good team. They got blown out by Gainesville. They're 0-3 right now, but they have that offensive line, and they have a Monty Cross. And now, after these first 3 games, they can kind of take a breath and kind of relax and get into sub-region, right?
Yeah, they've got one more non-sub-region game left this weekend against Walnut Grove, which they need to win that and kind of get moving forward. And like you said, they've got the ability to be good. I mean, when Amani was on, he was ripping off 5, 6, 7 yard runs. And he's just a bruising back, and Gainesville had a hard time slowing him down. But once they got so far behind, they don't have the kind of offense that right now is going to score a lot of points quickly unless Amani rips off a big run. Once that game swung from 14-8 to 21-8 just before halftime, it really kind of hamstrung what they wanted to do. I think if they'd have held that game at 14-8, we'd have had a very different second half and a very different outcome.
Absolutely. I think we both agree that if you're going to beat Gainesville, though, you got to put up 30 or 40 points, and North Hall not able to do that right now, but still a long season to go. All right, so after the game, Morgan was able to get down on the field, push the governor out of the way, and talk with Gainesville's head coach Bruce Miller, what he had to say about this win.
All right, Coach, just talk about, obviously, 1,000th game for the program, but, I mean, getting the win over North Hall, how much sweeter does that make it?
Anytime you can beat your rival schools, it's sweet. Kids did a great job offensively, defensively, kicking game. I'm just so proud of them.
Talk about Deshaun Watson's performance tonight, 8 touchdowns.
He really commanded the field tonight. He took over, he checked out of plays, he got us into good plays. He just did a great job.
They come back and make it, 14-8. What was the momentum like at that point? How big was it to get that answering touchdown to go 21-8?
I think it was huge because at that point they narrowed to go, and it just at that point I think the momentum turned the play around.
Talk about your defense tonight. Obviously had a tough task to slow down Amani, but they did it when they had to.
They slowed him down when they had to, and eventually we got him slowed down enough that the offense could turn the tide.
And how much momentum do you feel like you built with this win?
A whole lot of hope. Yeah. A whole lot.
of Gainesville High School, Mr. Bruce Miller. He's got to be happy with what happened out there. Our cameras are rolling on that game. By the way, for this show, you can see it on accessnorthga.com, and you can see a bunch of the highlights. We get out to as many games as we can, and great camera work by Mr. Morgan Lee.
Yeah, despite the shivering, I was a little cold. Left my jacket up in the press box, thinking it'd be easy, but you get down into the field and I think because it's in a bowl down there, it just somehow sucks all the moisture down, and it was kind of chilly.
I bet you the governor is probably warm, right? Do we I know we had a video, but I didn't even see. What color is the tie?
No tie.
No tie?
Sans tie.
We were talking about this all last week. What color tie is he going to have?
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture right there.
Okay, I'm a no tie guy, so I totally dig that.
It's
okay.
a football game. I mean, unless you're pledging a fraternity, there's no reason to wear a tie to a football game.
That's a very, very good point. All right, so there you go. All right, moving on to some other games. Jefferson kind of flexes their offensive muscle again. What was close early on turned out to be a blowout. Boy, I thought Jefferson might win this game, but 57-29. Are you kidding me? Dragons just keep going.
Yeah, and it was another one of those games that had its moments where it was close, and then the offense for Jefferson just, as you said, flexed its muscles and pulled away. I mean, Bryant Sheriffs is, we're running out of superlatives to describe this guy. I mean, there are several talented quarterbacks in the entire state, and I think he's proven to be one of them. He's got other weapons in Drequan Sewell and Cole Givens, who are making big plays, and defensively they're probably still not quite what they'd like to be, what Coach T. McFerrin wants them to be. But the way they keep scoring points, it may not matter.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think Jefferson, they might get the defense kind of coming around a little bit, but I think that the offense scoring 40 points really helps out a lot. We've talked about AAA, we talked about the region, how tough it is. They're a player in this thing, no doubt about it.
Oh, definitely. I was looking at the schedule, and I wrote, my 5 things column on Monday morning that, they have got everything laid out in front of them. They got this Hart County game at home, and they won that. The next 2, big games in the sub-region are against Elbert County and North Oconee, and both of those games are at home, too. So it's set up nicely for them that, everything is – the destiny is in their own hands, and they can achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, one stinking vote. They got one stinking vote again. That's it. That's all they get to be in they're not in the top 10.
AAA hasn't received a lot of love because, Elbert's only sitting there at I think at 10, or
really?
maybe they're up to 8 this week.
Yeah, they're really good.
And North Oconee hasn't registered yet either, and both those teams are very, very good.
Okay, we'll talk about East Hall coming up in the next segment. Let's talk about Stevens County against West Hall, and our cameras were at this one as well. 44-14 was the final of this one. Stevens County ends up getting the win. This is give West Hall some credit. It's a 14-7 game in the second quarter.
Yeah, West Hall continues to fight hard. I mean, they've got some ability. They've got a few guys that can do some big things, but Stevens County, as we said, I mean, especially when Chaz Thornton is running the ball well, they're just kind of a steamroller, and it's very hard to and I guess maybe steamroller is not quite the right word because Chaz is more of a Ferrari. Yeah. But and maybe that's not even right because he can take a pounding too, but his speed is pretty impressive.
He's a Ferrari steamroller. Is that what you're trying to say?
Do they make those?
I don't know, but I think they should. They'll call it the Chaz.
Yeah, leather interiors.
West Hall, if you're looking for some concern for West Hall, other than being 0-4, I will say this. Rico Jones, 125 rushing yards and a touchdown, but Chandler Newton gets injured in this game. We don't know the extent of the injury. Maybe it's a good time to have a week off for West Hall.
Yeah, definitely. You always want to have a chance to regroup after a tough game, and obviously they're sitting there at 0-4. And it's a tough 0-4. They've been close, in a lot of these games, and have been hurt by either turnovers or penalties or something just kind of seeming to get in the way. So I think certainly this is a good time for them to regroup and maybe look at some things. And like you said, though, it's a big deal if Chandler Newton is hurt, worse than what we hope he is.
Yeah, absolutely, and that could be absolutely devastating for this team. Rico Jones, I think, is a very underrated running back, but you need a good complement with a quarterback, and Chandler Newton is a very good one. So hopefully he can get back on the field pretty soon. Meanwhile, Stevens County just keeps on rolling. They're 3-1 on the year. We thought they were going to be good, and it turns out they just might be. All right, coming up, we'll talk a little bit about East Hall and their game against Adairsville. They kept it close. And a team by the name of Chestatee could be a player in Region AAA coming up this season. Your High School Sports Unlimited rolls on after this break.
Do you have dinner plans? Come and enjoy casual fine dining right here in downtown Gainesville. Scott's on the Square welcomes you for dinner Tuesday through Saturday night. With only fresh, prime cuts of steak and seafood, Scott's on the Square guarantees you'll become a repeat customer. Ask about catering or scheduling your special event at Scott's on the Square, 110 Main Street. Call to make your dinner plans or make your reservations online at scottsonthesquare.com. Casual fine dining at its best is right here in Gainesville.
I will not march blindly into the fluorescent light of Monday morning to a job I do not love. I will not go with the flow. I am not a carbon copy. I will visit this website before tomorrow because I refuse to work for the weekend, even if everyone is working for the weekend. Today, I will find a job that I love. Today, I will find my career happiness.
Morgan Lee, along with me, I'm Judd Hickenbotham, and Scott McIntyre producing here for High School Sports Unlimited. You can check out this show on AccessNorthGA.com. We record it on Wednesdays, and you can also check us out Thursdays at 6 p.m., Fridays at 3 p.m. on 1240 ESPN Radio. For that Thursday broadcast, of course, it all depends on the Atlanta Braves. Your playoff-bound Atlanta Braves.
Hopefully so.
Yeah, we hope so. All right, let's get back to some of the games from this past week. Boy, I'm going to tell you something. Chestatee War Eagles are undefeated now. They beat Dawson County in what turned out to be a very good game. 27-22 was the final score. Chestatee up 21-3 in this game at halftime. Dawson comes all the way back, takes a lead. But give Chestatee some credit. I mean, it takes some confidence, it takes some guts to, after getting down with about 4 minutes to go, to be able to come back after blowing a lead like that and end up getting the win. Great job by the offense. Great job by Jordan DeGraff too.
Yeah, absolutely. The offense comes up with a huge play to pull back ahead. The defense comes up with a stop to seal it. That's just a huge win for Chestatee a number of ways because it gets you going. Keeps you rolling at 3-0. But I think even more importantly, it showed you have to have a kind of a watershed moment to turn something around. And after going 3-7 last year, there were a lot of times when they couldn't pull off a comeback. And being able to do that on Friday night was, I think, a very big deal psychologically, and I think it's gonna help them out big time in the games to come this season and beyond.
They're a very balanced offense. I mean, they really are. Jordan DeGraff had a very good night. He's a good quarterback. 7 of 9 passing, 197 yards. So only throws 9 times. So they like to keep it on the ground, but he can take off and run as well. He had 73 rushing yards. They don't mind going to the air, though.
No, absolutely not. And to be a good offense, I don't care how much you run the ball. You're going to have to throw it too. There's no decent defense is going to allow you just to run and run some more. So you've got to be able to throw the ball to keep them honest. And DeGraff is really, I mean, for a kid who comes into the position that was going to be the hardest position to take over for Chestatee with the loss of Tuning. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of stepped in. I won't say he hasn't missed a beat, but he's certainly shown that. They had somebody ready to fill that role.
I agree. I mean, I would pretty much say they have not missed a beat. I mean, they have 3 wins. That's how many they had last year. So good for them. One thing about this game, and you told me off the air, you say Tyler Dominy's a pretty good quarterback, and he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, a huge kid. He's got a great arm. He's got some good receivers to throw it to now, and a pretty good fullback. I mean, it's a shame that Dawson doesn't have a better record, and they really should this year.
Yeah.
They've been in a couple close games, including one they lost in overtime. But yeah, they're a good team, and you can definitely expect them to factor in that 8AA North sub-region run.
I could see Tyler Dominy playing at the next level. I could see Zach Martin, the running back you're talking about, playing at the next level. And I could see Bruce Clark, their wide receiver. Big, tall kid, great hands. I could see him playing the next level as well. So if you get a chance, go out and see Dawson County. They're going to end up winning some games. They're going to end up putting up some points as well. But congratulations to Chestatee. Again, they've matched their win total from all of last season. They're 3-0 rolling into this week. All right, East Hall loses to Adairsville 25-9. It was an ugly game for the Vikings against a good team, and yet they were in this ball game. But when you turn the ball over 4 times, that really hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. That was East Hall's bugaboo last year, was turnovers, and it bit them a little bit on Friday night on the road against a very good team. You can't turn the ball over, and the thing is, I guess the heartening part is that despite that, they played with Adairsville for the most part, and I think they learned a good deal about themselves. They're sitting here at 2-2, getting ready to start the sub-region season. Coach Brian Gray called me on Friday night, and thanks for calling me back, Coach, because I know that was a long bus ride back.
Yeah.
And he's disappointed in the loss, but I think he saw a lot of positives out of that, and I think he's pretty pleased with where his team is sitting right now. No coach is ever going to be super happy, no matter even down in Buford, Jess Simpson's not super happy about where he is.
Yeah,
but that being said, I think he sees a lot of improvement, and I think he sees a lot of optimism moving forward.
I agree. I totally agree. The two-headed monster they had to go through with Adairsville and Elbert the week before, they're past that. I think they can end up being a better team because of it. All right, the Scott McIntyre Bowl went down in Jackson County, by the way. The battle for Scott McIntyre's heart, our producer. Jackson County guy. East Jackson wins 21-12 in this game. Tyler Collins throws for a touchdown. He runs for another one. And East Jackson, boy, they've been around a couple years. They've won 2 games against their rival. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. And it's a team it seems to be getting better each week between Collins and EJ. They've got a couple kids that can just run the ball and run it down your throat. It's going to be interesting to see, once they get into the meat of that, 8AA South schedule, with the Jeffersons and the Elberts and the North Oconeys, to see how they can do. But certainly they've got the ability to give a hard time to any defense.
Yeah, the Battle of Oakwood has the Battle of the Paddle, thanks to Jody Spain. We need to come up with some Scott McIntyre, some kind of trophy to give the winner of the Jackson County thing. Just of his head, just the gold head.
Bag of Jacks or something.
Yeah, we could do that. That's a pretty good idea. All right, elsewhere, our cameras are rolling. The Flowery Branch game at Cedar Shoals. And, 49-7 was the final, so Cedar Shoals stayed closer than about anybody's been able to with Flowery Branch. Coach Shaw was saying there's a lot of athletes on the Cedar Shoals team, and I'm sure they are. They didn't get a chance to do much against Flowery Branch. We can talk about the offense all we want. Give credit to that defense, man. I mean, they held Cedar Shoals to 10 yards and a first down in the first half. Is that right?
It was something like that.
That's disgusting.
I seem to remember seeing a text that they were at 0 yards or something at the half. It was, they just totally shut down Cedar Shoals' wing tee attack, a very athletic wing tee attack, and everybody talks about Flowery Branch's offense and about how athletic they are and the points that they put up in yards, etc. But that defense, is one of the better defenses, I think, in the region, in North Georgia, in the state possibly. And when they're playing as well as they are, combined with that offense, you're gonna have a hard time seeing Flowery Branch lose the rest of the way this season.
Absolutely, and you throw in a block punt in there as well, and everything just really, really worked out for them. The defense looked very good. So Flowery Branch doesn't score in their first possession, then they score in 6 straight in the first. They led 42-0 at halftime, and every coach has got to love this. 5 different players score for Flowery Branch. Not bad.
I mean, they just got a ton of weapons, a lot of guys that they can spread the ball around to and be successful with just about any of them. And you're just watching the kid take the fumble in for a touchdown there.
Yep.
They are right now. They are playing as well, I think, as Coach Shaw could have hoped. And the thing is, they're going to get better. They're going to get better. They're only about halfway through the season, and if they continue to improve the way they have, look out, playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second string got a chance to come in there and play a lot in the second half, which is always something that Coach wants to see as well. Heard some grumblings. Hey, let's have a Buford Flowery Branch matchup. What do you say?
That'd be a great game.
That would be a great game. So I don't know. People are talking around the area. Maybe we can make this happen after the season, or maybe next season. I don't know. Probably not. Speaking of Buford, they get a big win. Very similar to Flowery Branch's game. A whole lot of good stuff happens for the Wolves. They win 49-0 against Port Terrell, who's Terrell's like the Baylor of that region for Buford. I mean, it's just they just get beat down. So 49-0 is the final of that one. 7 different players score all 7 touchdowns for Buford.
Yeah, it's just typical Buford. I mean, this weekend will be a much tougher test of what Buford is. Last week, I mean, frankly, I don't want to sound haughty or anything like that, but I really think Buford's JV could have come out there and been competitive and maybe won that game. That's just how good Buford is.
Well, that's the thing is that you look at the numbers, and Terrell, what I heard in the first half, they had -3 yards in the first half. They had 65 for the entire game, which tells me second, third, and maybe 4th string guys for Buford come in there and still hold Terrell under 100 yards.
Yeah, it's just Buford's just so deep right now and so talented, and the thing is that their kids, they don't let up. They don't think, well, it's Terrell, so we don't have to play that hard. I mean, that's a testament to what Buford is they don't fall into those traps. So and when they don't, they got the skill just to lay a beat down on anybody.
Falcons versus Wolves. I'm telling you.
Be a great game.
I know, it would be a great game. All right, Hab Central goes down to Clark Central, 34-20, the final in this one. I give the Raiders credit again for sticking in there against who's always a very good team in Clark Central. The story of this one, as it usually is with Hab Central, congratulations to quarterback Kevin Ellison. He finally breaks the school's rushing record.
Yeah, he did. Had a big game, but knowing the kind of kid he is, and had a chance to talk with him last week, I mean, I'm sure he'd trade that in a heartbeat for a win last week over a very good Clark Central team, and it was 14-14 at halftime. They hung with them, and it's the second year in a row that it's been a close game with Clark Central, and they just, going on the road this year has been tough. Their 2 losses, both in Athens. Obviously, very different game from the Cedar Shoals game where they had the big lead and lost it, but they were in both games, and right now are. They got to go back on the road this week, so I know they're going to be looking to get a win at Madison County.
It's been a heck of a crazy first half of the year for Hab Central. If they can get the win, though, they'll have a winning record in the first half and maybe propel them a little more toward the second half of the season. Real quick, we got to mention Banks County goes down to Athens Christian 27-21. This is one of the better games in the entire area with Athens Christian scoring, 11 seconds to go to kind of spoil a second half comeback.
Yeah, Banks County had been down most of that game, came back and scored to go 21-20. And looked like they were going to have a chance to win, and then Athens Christian comes back and just douses those hopes. And Banks County is kind of come back down to earth after a great start, but again another team that's just about to embark on a sub-region schedule. So I think they're going to be excited to put that behind them and look forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had some close games. We had some blowouts. What about this week coming up? Well, it should be very interesting. Morgan mentioned maybe the game of the week is Lovett and Buford, so we will, of course, go into that one in the second half of the show and let you know what's coming up this Friday night as Week 5 gets underway. Coming up next, we will have your Player of the Week. For you folks around the Gainesville area, you might have an idea who it is. You scored 8 touchdowns in a game. Morgan Lee's going to come knocking on your door the very next week. So there you go. All right, High School Sports Unlimited rolls on. Thanks for being with us.
At the offices of Dr. Norman Peets, DDS on Green Street in Gainesville, patients have all their general dentistry needs explained. Ask about sedation dentistry. Dr. Peets' team of professionals puts you at ease. Dedicated, experienced professional. He's Gainesville's family dentist. Dr. Norman Peets, 615 Green Street in Gainesville.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Ron Wilson. At Wilson Orthodontics, we've helped thousands of people just like you get that perfect, healthy smile they've always dreamed of. And we do that by using state-of-the-art orthodontic technology. Children and adults love our exciting Georgia Bulldogs game room.
Come in and experience the atmosphere.
Our team is the best around, and they treat all our patients like they're part of the family.
They were so nice to me.
Call us today to schedule your free consultation, and I look forward to seeing you here soon.
Do you have dinner plans? Come and enjoy casual fine dining right here in downtown Gainesville. Scott's on the Square welcomes you for dinner Tuesday through Saturday night. With only fresh, prime cuts of steak and seafood, Scott's on the Square guarantees you'll become a repeat customer. Ask about catering or scheduling your special event at Scott's on the Square, 110 Main Street. Call to make your dinner plans or make your reservations online at scottsonthesquare.com. Casual fine dining at its best is right here in Gainesville.
I will not march blindly into the fluorescent light of Monday morning to a job I do not love. I will not go with the flow. I am not a carbon copy. I will visit this website before tomorrow because I refuse to work for the weekend, even if everyone is working for the weekend. Today, I will find a job that I love. Today, I will find my career happiness.
Do you have dinner plans? Come and enjoy casual fine dining right here in downtown Gainesville. Scott's on the Square welcomes you for dinner Tuesday through Saturday night. With only fresh, prime cuts of steak and seafood, Scott's on the Square guarantees you'll become a repeat customer. Ask about catering or scheduling your special event at Scott's on the Square, 110 Main Street. Call to make your dinner plans or make your reservations online at scottsonthesquare.com. Casual fine dining at its best is right here in Gainesville.
All right, welcome back. High School Sports Unlimited rolling on here before Week 5 of the high school football season gets underway. All right, coming up, we will have all the previews for you. Chester T fans, your team coming in undefeated. Buford fans, your team as well. Flowery Branch, everybody. We'll talk about more about those games coming up. But first, we have our Gainesville JC's Player of the Week, sponsored by Jacobs Media. Go back to that Gainesville North Hall game. Boy, Deshaun Watson is one heck of a football player. 8 touchdowns, over 400 total yards in the game. Morgan Lee sat down and talked, or stood up, one or the other, to talk with Deshaun Watson about his great game and his great season.
Deshaun, obviously an incredible performance last week in a big game. How excited were you to be able to do that in such just a huge circumstance for you?
I was very excited, coming into the week. We've been preparing all 2 weeks, even the off week and the game week, and me and my teammates just wanted this victory real bad, and just to show the whole region that we still a big program in Gainesville High, and we still on top, I guess. And I mean, it was this. I'm real excited.
Tell me, how much momentum do you feel like that y'all can build with that victory?
A lot of momentum, really. Going into this week, going against Franklin County. Franklin County, I think, is 1-2, but you still can't give the team any doubt or anything. But going into this game, it gives us momentum that we still got things to work on, but we still can. If we play as well as Friday, we can beat anybody, really.
Talk about, you're only a sophomore, but you played more games than a lot of seniors, because you started every game last year. Talk about how much, you feel like you've developed as a quarterback, even just as a sophomore.
A lot, because last year, I'm just getting used to the game speed and the size and stuff and how fast everything moves. And this year, it just I'm more comfortable in the pocket and composed, and I can just go through my reads and deliver the ball, and I'm trusting my line because half of my line came back last year. So, I mean, it's easy.
Obviously this season, you start off with a tough loss to Buford, but you bounce back 2 big wins. Talk about this team and just how good can y'all be by the end of the season?
We can be real good, but we just got a lot more things to work on. The Buford game, my coach told us it won't break us or it won't satisfy us from championship type. We just gonna come off of that and get better every week, and that's what we've been doing so far. So we plan on getting better, and the sky's the limit.
Obviously you're a dual threat guy. What's kind of more fun, busting a big run or making a big completion?
Probably the completion, because I have to throw first. But if throwing not there, then a big run, it's real fun.
Obviously, I think you got a few more of those left in you. I appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For Gainesville, just a sophomore, 16 years old. He doesn't, 15 or 16. Yeah, he doesn't play like that at all, does he?
No, he doesn't play like a kid. He plays like a grown man, as some people would say. Yeah, he just a super impressive game. Super impressive kid, really, just for his age. A combination of the arm strength, the speed and elusiveness with his legs, and he sees the field pretty well. I mean, I know he said that was one of the things he needed to work on, but I mean he reads the field pretty well. Doesn't throw a lot of balls into bad coverage. So as long as he's good, Gainesville's offense will be good.
Yeah, Gainesville is kind of prepped to make another run like they did last season, after losing to Buford to start the season. All right, let's get into some of the games coming up this week. Speaking of the Green Machine, Buford going to be at home at Tom Ryden Stadium. They're going to be taking on Lovett. Lovett 4-0, Buford 5-0. Is Lovett ranked in the top 10?
Yes, they are.
They are. Okay,
and
good.
That's actually a typo. Lovett's only 3-0.
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Usually it's just one.
Yeah,
usually it's just like one game apart. But Buford's already 5-0 because they've been playing all those.
Yeah, I mean they started early and haven't had a bye yet.
Yeah.
So no, Lovett. Yeah, Lovett's had a bye to get ready for this, and I think. They're sitting there at number 6, I believe, in AA. So yeah, going to be, I think, a strong Lovett team, typically well coached. Mike Muschamp, who's the brother of Will Muschamp at Florida, is the head coach there. So obviously you can expect one of the better coach teams that Buford's going to play all season.
And I look at Lovett not so much as like a GAC, and if GAC people are listening, I'm very sorry, but GAC is one of those teams that is always, they're ranked in the top 10, then they come and get smacked down against Buford. Because Lovett has that one win against Buford, and so they've beaten them before. I guess they have some confidence, some confidence.
Yeah. I mean, it was 28-21. I guess it was 2 seasons ago where they kept Buford from winning the Regent title. Didn't really matter when the state title came around, but they'll take some, I would imagine, some confidence from that. But again, going up to play Buford at Tom Ryden, I don't know that you look back at anything in history. You just strap your helmet on and hope to play the absolute best you can play.
Yeah, absolutely. And so much for that letdown that we thought Buford might have after those ESPN games. They have come back and been just fine coming into this one. All right, Chestatee with a pretty big game at home. They're going to be taking on Monroe Area, who's always a pretty good team. Monroe Area is 2-1. The War Eagles are 3-0 after their win against Dawson County. This is a good measuring stick for the War Eagles. No
Absolutely. I wrote on Monday, I think this is one of the more intriguing games of this weekend. It's just, Chestatee's sitting at a point right now at 3-0 where if they were to win this game, I think, they would go from, interesting to favorite. Mm-hmm. I mean, they would kind of have to because Monroe, is sitting there right now. They've got a loss, but it was a close loss against a good Monticello team, and they've got so much athleticism. And if you can, they were the only team from this region to advance past the second round last year. So if Chestatee can knock them off, I mean, that would just say a ton about what the War Eagles have going already.
Monroe Area is a very good team. They were, like you said, they were great last year. Matt Fliggs really got them playing well. They lost a lot off last year's team, though, right?
They did. They lost a lot of guys, but again, the guys they've got coming back have, or young guys coming up, as it were, have a lot of ability. A quarterback, and I'm blanking on his name right now, who's just been outstanding. I've got it written down on my computer, which doesn't really help me now. Anyway, yeah, and they've
no Monroe Area fans watch it. It's okay,
it's fine. And they've got just typical, very much like Gainesville, and they've just got athleticism, up and down the board. Coach Luttrell, when I talked to him earlier this week, mentioned that they've got a 350-pound nose tackle that can run.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, 350-pound nose tackle. Jeez. All right, well, Chestatee, I don't know if it has anybody that big, but this should be a good game. If there's something Coach Luttrell needs to be kind of worried about, the offense kind of went away there, and they didn't have the ball a ton in the second half, but the offense kind of went away against Dawson County, but maybe Jordan DeGraff and the boys can kind of get it going. Monroe Area won this game llast year 27-0. All right, Habs Central, very big game. They're going to be at Madison County. Habs Central 2-2, and Madison County is 1-3, but a chance for the Raiders to kind of get back on the winning track.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna, if you're gonna be in the playoff hunt, you got to win on the road. They haven't. Habersham hasn't done that yet this season, so it's got to start somewhere, and no better place to start than at Madison County. Now, that being said, it's going to be a tough game just because it's a road game in 8-4A. Madison's had a tough start, but this will be a game that Habersham feels like it should win on the road, and with Ellison the way he's been playing, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't win it.
It's amazing to me when you have, and with all due respect to the other Habs Central players who are very good, but everything runs through that quarterback Ellison, and yet nobody can stop him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean that just says speaks volumes for the amount of talent that he has, and also certainly for that offensive line, the fact that they can keep guys off of him until he can get into that second level.
Okay, Oglethorpe County going to be at East Jackson. This one going to be at Eagle Stadium in Commerce. Hey, East Jackson's 3-1 on the year. Their win against Jackson County last week, their first sub-region game. So this ends up being a pretty big game for them against an Oglethorpe team that just got thumped by Elbert County.
Yeah, absolutely. If East Jackson can win this and start 2-0 in the sub-region, I mean, that gives them a great head start. I mean, obviously they've yet to play the three biggies like we mentioned earlier, but if they can start off 2-0, that certainly gets them into the playoff mix already. And that's got to be pretty encouraging for a first-year head coach and a staff that is really just kind of getting to know these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that ends up being a very big early game for East Jackson. All right, we're going to take ourselves a break. Got a lot more to get to, including North Hall trying to get their first win of the season. Flowery Branch, they're trying to get their fifth win of the season. Also, run down all the games that are going to be on radio coming up this Friday as well. High School Sports Unlimited rolling on. Thanks for being with us.
At the offices of Dr. Norman Peets, DDS on Green Street in Gainesville, patients have all their general dentistry needs explained. Ask about sedation dentistry. Dr. Peets' team of professionals puts you at ease. Dedicated, experienced, professional. He's Gainesville's family dentist. Dr. Norman Peets, 615 Green Street in Gainesville.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Ron Wilson. At Wilson Orthodontics, we've helped thousands of people just like you get that perfect, healthy smile they've always dreamed of. And we do that by using state-of-the-art orthodontic technology. Children and adults love our exciting Georgia Bulldogs game room.
Come in and experience the atmosphere.
Our team is the best around, and they treat all our patients like they're part of the family.
They were so nice to me.
Call us today to schedule your free consultation, and I look forward to seeing you here soon.
All right, wrapping it up here. High School Sports Unlimited last section, but hey, that's all right. We'll be back next week. Again, you can check us out, accessnorthga.com on WDUN TV on Wednesday afternoons, sometime after the Al Gainey Show, either 12 or 12:30. And then we'll be on the air on radio, 1240 ESPN Radio, 6 p.m. on Thursday and 3 p.m. On Friday. Judd and Morgan with you throughout the season. Scott McIntyre producing as well. If you want to see highlights of the game, if you want to see these kids in action, we might just be at your game. Scott McIntyre doing a great job with his camera, as well as Morgan Lee. Outstanding when he's not shivering and crying over on the sidelines. He does a great job. Okay, not crying. That's a little much. But
hey.
But there you go. You can check out the highlights on accessnorthga.com. All right, let's get to some of the other action that's going to be going on around the area. North Hall returning home. Again, this is a non-sub-region game, but this is as big a sub-region game as non-sub-region game as you can have for North Hall. I mean, they could go 0-4 and still make the playoffs. I mean, it's still absolutely in the realm of possibility. You don't want to go 0-4. You just don't.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to be dealing with that the kind of negative emotions going into your sub-region season.
And I mean, I think pressure kind of comes in as well. I mean, it's a different kind of pressure. It's everybody's looking at, hey, you got to get a win.
Yeah, definitely. I think a big thing for North Hall. That we haven't really talked. This will be their first home game of the season.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's right.
Three straight games on the road to start the season, all against good teams. So I think being at the Brickyard will be a big help for them, playing a team that they'll feel like that they should beat. I really, as you said, though, I mean, they need a win here, and frankly, I think they'll get it. Amani. As long as he's healthy and ready to go, he is going to get his yards on every defense he faces this season. So I would expect them to get the victory here.
And this is a team that North Hall really stomped last year. They went 40-0. I think it was 4-0 midway through the second quarter. They really took care of business. And I believe this was the first game that Amani Cross played in last year for North Hall, coming back from his Achilles injury. So, North Hall going to be taking on Walnut Grove. So it's kind of strange to say their home opener at the Brickyard. All right, Gainesville going to be on the road at Franklin County. You heard Deshaun Watson talking about this game and that you can't overlook Franklin County. Gainesville 2-1. Their only loss was to Buford. Franklin just 1-2, but once again, this is a team that is still pretty dangerous. So we thought they were dangerous for the season.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is that they're a lot younger team than we expected coming into the season. They do have some veterans at the skill positions, at quarterback and at running back. So Gainesville's going to have to be wary, especially on defense. They run an option, so they're going to force Gainesville to play assignment football. So, Gainesville can't go in and have a letdown by any stretch of the imagination. But, certainly after the past 2 games Gainesville's had, they're going to be feeling pretty confident.
Absolutely. They're going to be feeling very confident in that one after beating North Hall last week 55-15. When your quarterback scores 8 touchdowns in a game, you're going to feel pretty confident about what happened. So there you go. Gainesville 2-1. And Franklin County is 1-2. They got to go way up there, though, to Carnesville, which I've been to.
I have too. I covered a game up there. It's a long road trip.
It's a very long road trip. I think that's the one with I think there's a cow pasture just past the field somewhere.
Seems
I'm not even joking. All right, so there you go. So Gainesville got to make the long road trip. Flowery Branch going to be on the road. They'll be at Rockdale County. Flowery Branch is 4-0. Rockdale is 1-3. And the Branch is number 4 in the state. I guess that seems a bit. I mean, if you're in the top 5 in the state, then you're doing something right. They're not gonna play Tucker and that kind of thing until they get to the playoffs. But
I was looking at the top 4, top 5 this past week, just wondering when they might match up with some of those teams, and if everything goes to plan, it wouldn't be till quarterfinals, semifinals.
Oh, you're already looking at the playoff brackets.
Yeah, I can't help it. It just I think everybody gets caught doing that. As long as the players and the coaches aren't doing that,
right,
then they'll be fine. And I can guarantee you that they're not doing that down there at Flowery Branch. A very focused group, very focused on getting a win, which is a big deal. When you play a team that's 1-3, you got to be focused because Rockdale's still got athletes, they're still talented. So if you fall asleep on these guys, they're going to sneak up and bite you.
And you kind of stole what I was going to say because you said the same thing about Buford last segment, and that give Buford credit because they go up against teams like Terrell. They'll play a team like Decatur. That they're gonna kill. I mean, they could have third string and they're running backward, and they're still going to get the win. But Flowery Branch, they have some of those games too. I don't know how much the gap is between the upper teams and lower teams when you get up to 4A if it's as big as in AA, but still give Flowery Branch credit for coming out each week and playing hard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's part of I talked to Coach Shaw just a few minutes ago actually, and he was talking about they don't want to lose because they look at every game as a building block, and they feel like if they take a loss during the season, it kind of it could knock them off their rise, as he put it. And they want to keep getting better each game as they go toward hopefully a region title and the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Lakeview Academy looking for their first win of the year. They are going to be at Hebron. That game at 7:30. That's going to be at Lions Stadium in Decula. So Lakeview 0-3 on the year. It's a lot different for Lakeview this year than last year because they got some wins early on in the season.
Well, yeah, although they closed strong last year. I think they only had 1 win at this point last year, and it ended up closing strong. They've certainly got a chance to do that. I mean, this is a good opportunity for them to get that first win. Hebron struggled a little bit at times this year, and Lakeview's played close in a couple of their games and had a chance. So I really you got a couple pairs of Lions here going at it. I think the Gainesville Lions have got a good chance to win this one.
I agree with you. A couple of winless Lions, by the way. Lakeview 0-3 and Hebron 0-4. Hebron won this game last year 28-19, so they're going to go down to Decula. Will Lakeview Academy try to get that first win of the season. A big game up in 5A, and I don't think we talk enough about what happens in Gwinnett County, in that area, but Norcross at Mill Creek. I mean, there are a lot of really good teams in Gwinnett, and this should be a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, it's what the second biggest county or something like that in the state.
Yeah.
I mean, you got that many people, you're going to have a ton of good teams, and I think for Mill Creek, this is one of those quote unquote gut check type of games. They've got it was a tough loss last week. I mean, missing their star player and the quarterback John Russ, and to lose to Mountain View, which is still a fairly new program, that was a bit of a shock, I think, for them. But they had close to 200 yards of penalties, I believe, in that game.
Really?
And
that'll do it most every time, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And so as long as Russ is healthy, then Mill Creek is going to have a chance to win this game. I mean, Norcross is a very good program year in, year out, always is. And but it's huge. You don't want to start out 0-2 in the region, especially with North Gwinnett still to play and Peachtree Ridge still to play. So big game for Mill Creek.
And by the way, I'm a Gwinnett County boy. I'm a Parkview High School boy, and people are like, "Hey, what's wrong with Parkview? They got a win last week. They beat Shiloh." So. There you go.
The Generals.
I think everybody beats the Generals, actually, to be honest with you. All right, Johnson looking for their first win. They're going to be on the road at Lumpkin County. Kind of a tall order, I guess. They got to go the burial grounds up in Dahlonega, baby. 2-1 is Lumpkin. 0-3 is Johnson. They're coming off that big loss against Chestatee. But Lumpkin kind of has it going a little bit, even after their loss to Monroe area last week.
Yeah, it was a tough loss last week, but I think that they learned a good bit about themselves in that loss, and it wasn't so much surprising what they learned. I think it just kind of confirmed that they've got to be able to drive the ball and sustain drives a little bit better. They've had so many big plays from Ian McIntosh that when he wasn't able to get loose and make a big play, they had a hard time sustaining something on offense, which is what they've been working on this week. And facing a Johnson team that very unlucky to be 0-3. Every coach you talk to when they're getting ready to play Johnson just gushes about how well coached they are. Paul Friel always seems to have his team ready, even when they're having issues with health or not having enough guys to really field a great first team, and they should be healthy now. They've actually gotten Adrian Madera, their center and nose guard back. So it's going to be an interesting game. Last year, Cedric Harris ran all over Lumpkin County, and certainly he'll be a big key this week.
When you're Johnson, you have a roster of 40 players or less. This is just a question for you in general. I would think that if you're the coach of that team, maybe you want your offense on the field a little bit more than. I guess if you're a defender, are you expending a lot more energy than what the offense is doing? Obviously your offensive line's got to lean against guys, but
yeah, it's always a good kind of debate and question. I would tend to think that offensively it's a little bit easier because as a defender, for the most part you're reacting. And it's a lot harder to react than just to simply know what you're doing and follow a game plan.
Right.
Obviously, I guess if you got an attack defense where you're blitzing and doing a lot of different things, to try to force things, it's a little different. But every defender at some point is going to have to sit there and react to what he's seeing in front of him. And I think it probably is a little bit easier to expend energy, so to speak, on offense.
Yeah, I would think that the Coach Friel probably wants that, but who knows? So good luck to Johnson up at Lumpkin County. A couple of good coaches, good guys, and programs that are very easy to root for. All right, Elbert County going to be at Jackson County. Boy, Jackson, they lose to their rival, and then in comes Elbert. This is kind of a tall order. They're going to be bringing in the 10th team in the state. You and I both think Elbert County could probably be ranked higher than that.
Yeah, it's definitely a tall order. Not that Jackson County it doesn't have the ability to pull the upset, but right now emotionally they really need a win, and this is not the team you want to see coming in that situation.
No, absolutely not. One more game to mention: Riverside Military going to be at George Walton Academy. They've had a coaching change at Riverside, by the way, 0-4, and so they'll be taking on George Walton team that is 2-1. All right, taking a look at what to expect on the radio coming up this week for you Buford fans against Leavitt. That game going to be on AM 550 on WDUN. And then over on 102.9 FM, it'll be Walnut Grove at North Hall. North Hall's first home game of the season. And for Gainesville fans, you know exactly where you can go. 1240 ESPN Radio. They'll be at Franklin County. All those games. Kickoff is at 7:30. Pregame at 7 o'clock. And your Cotton Eye Joe's Tailgate Show live from Wild Wing Cafe in Gainesville will be coming up at 6 o'clock as well. So there you go. We appreciate your time and everything. And by the way, one more thing, High School Sports Unlimited, we record the show Wednesday afternoon, so tune in to accessnorthga.com, WDUN TV. Morgan and I just kind of flap our gums for about an hour about everything, and then tune in 1240 ESPN Radio on Friday nights at 3 o'clock, actually Friday afternoons, and Thursday at 6 p.m. So there you go. Thursday, 6 p.m., Friday at 3 p.m., and we will be here every week. Morgan, appreciate it, man.
Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Go hang out with the governor again on Friday.
Yeah, I don't know that he'll be back doing any coin tosses.
Yeah, maybe not. Scott McIntyre, without you, there'd be no High School Sports Unlimited. Appreciate your time, Mr. Jackson County. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.